Oh, and by the way, Boehner Bronco Buster?
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from?
Improv.
Oh, it's wonderful.
WWE turns into a little bit of a snooze fest the first few months after WrestleMania. Everything just feels a little uninspired, and almost as if they are taking a break. But we are officially out of the lull period, and on the road to Money in the Bank, which is one of my personal favorite shows of the year. It's exciting because there are just so many possibilities, even though most of the time, WWE usually drops the ball. Still, the excitement is there, and it's got me thinking about who should win the briefcases this year. Let's start with who I think is the most obvious choice across both ladder matches, Tiffany Stratton.
Yes.
Ever since being called up to the main roster, Tiffany Stratton has been an undeniable star. When looking at all the potential prospects or future stars of the women's division, no one stands out more so to me than Tiffany Stratton. I don't see any reason we should wait to push her to the moon, and I think she's the perfect woman to dethrone Bayley. After that, I would have Tiffany hold the belt all the way to WrestleMania, where she could lose to Bianca Belair or Jade Cargill, maybe even in a triple threat match. I just think Tiffany has everything it takes to be a top star in WWE, and giving her the Money in the Bank would be the real start of her main roster push. Next, we have Randy Orton. It's kind of crazy to look back on like 2 or 3 years ago and think that I was getting tired of Randy Orton. I just thought he wasn't a real main eventer anymore, but boy was I wrong, and I would be so excited to see him win the Money in the Bank. The WWE is clearly heading in a Bloodline versus Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton direction, and I think Orton holding the Money in the Bank briefcase throughout this could really spice things up. Orton assures Cody, that he has his back, and he tells Cody that he can trust him, only for Orton to do what he does best and stab Cody in the back. Ever since WrestleMania, Cody's been a little lukewarm. Not cold, but definitely not hot, just a little lukewarm. And I think this is mainly because he hasn't had a real feud yet. The Logan Paul and AJ Styles matches, they didn't have any real story behind them, and I think Randy Orton could change all of that because they just have so much history that they can play off of. This is a story that could build all the way to WrestleMania. For all of those reasons, I think Randy Orton would be a great choice to win the men's Money in the Bank match. Damage Control is sort of going through a split right now, where it looks like Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai might all be going off in different directions. This has me a little worried, as I'm just not sure how they'll all fare on their own. I think one way to guarantee that at least Dakota Kai doesn't get lost in the shuffle would be to give her the Money in the Bank. I think Dakota Kai has more than proven herself as having the potential to be a world champion, and if we're not putting the Money in the Bank on someone like Tiffany Stratton, I think Dakota would be a great, unexpected choice. My only real concern with Dakota winning the Money in the Bank is that she couldn't really cash in anytime soon, at least on Raw. I feel like the Raw Women's Championship has such a clear direction right now, with Liv Morgan keeping it warm until Rhea Ripley comes back. What I would do is move Dakota to SmackDown and have her cash in on Bayley. Yes, Bayley closed her chapter with Io Sky at WrestleMania, but she never faced the rest of Damage Control. I just feel like there's a lot of story left to tell between them, specifically Bayley and Dakota. This is also something that, at least off the top of my head, I don't think WWE has done too often. Having someone, say on Raw, win the Money in the Bank and then they cash it in on the SmackDown champion. I think that's something that could be really interesting, and it would definitely provide a shock, because when Dakota Kai first wins the Money in the Bank, people aren't going to be thinking she's going to move to SmackDown and cash in. They're going to be expecting her to cash it in on Liv Morgan. So I just think that would be a nice shock, and I think Dakota would really be a great pick to win the Women's Money in the Bank. Drew McIntyre is in desperate need of something. Anything. He just lost to Damian Priest at Clash of the Castle, and it looks like he just quit WWE on Monday. I'm honestly not sure where their story is going, but I think he could really benefit from holding the briefcase. The only real problem is that I think it's pretty much a lock Gunther is going to become the champion at SummerSlam, and I really wouldn't want to get Gunther's title reign mixed up with the Money in the Bank. Maybe Drew could win it, and he goes to cash in on Gunther, but CM Punk screws him over again. I don't know, that would probably feel like CM Punk screwing over Drew one too many times, and that would probably be sort of, a waste of the Money in the Bank. Now that I really, talk it out, maybe Drew shouldn't win the briefcase. I'm just picturing all the scenarios in my head, and nothing makes sense to me. So let's scratch Drew. Let's take him off the list. Finding a fifth person was a little difficult because there are honestly just so many people who could be really good Money in the Bank holders. LA Knight, Finn Balor, Andrade, or someone completely random like Candice LeRae. I think those would all be really good, interesting Money in the Bank holders. There's an obvious story already built in with Finn Balor and the Judgment Day, so I think he would be a good pick, but he's just not my favorite. Don't get me wrong, I love Finn, but I don't know how interested I would be in seeing him with the world title in 2024. This is a couple years too late. In the end, I decided to go with Carmelo Hayes. I feel like Melo hasn't really done anything since being called up to the main roster. If you look at Raw, Braun Breaker is being treated like a superstar right now, and I think Melo should be receiving the same treatment on SmackDown. I honestly think Melo has even more potential than Braun Breaker, but as of now, WWE hasn't really capitalized on him yet. Also, when you look at Cody Rhodes and the Undisputed Championship, it's a little unclear who's going to take the title off of him. Most titles in WWE have a clear next in line champion, but it's not the same with Cody. After Randy Orton, the contenders really take a drop. Who could realistically take the title off of Cody? Santos Escobar? Bobby Lashley? Baron Corbin? Hell no. I think Carmelo Hayes could really be that guy. And the thing is, this doesn't even have to be anytime soon. Carmelo could hold the briefcase all the way until after WrestleMania, and then maybe he cashes in on Cody the night after. I just think there are a lot of possibilities with Melo as Mr. Money in the Bank, and it gives him something to do, because right now, he really feels directionless. I think any combination of these four winning the Money in the Bank matches would be incredible, and would guarantee us a fun next couple months. Any way it turns out, I'm super excited to see what happens, because like I said, Money in the Bank is one of my favorite shows of the year. Let's just hope we have some good qualifying matches, a fun build-up, and that the nightmare scenarios do not end up playing out.